it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to do a bead weaving project today. The other day I did a video showing the basic right angle weave stitch. Today I'm going to do a video showing how to do multiple rows of right angle weave. I've already got this done because I started to do this on camera, but I think it would have been too hard for you to see what I was doing because all the beads are the same color. I decided it'd be better if I switched up the colors. So I've got this, the length that I wanted. I'm going to, after I show you how to do the multiple rows, then I'm going to go back to this one and put the clasp on and put some little embellishments down the center. You don't have to do the embellishments. You could just put a clasp on this and have you a pretty little bracelet, but you know me, I've always got to have a little extra bling. But this is just like we did the other day, only it's 3 rows instead of just 1 row down through here. It's 3 little boxes next to each other all the way down through here. And so that's what I'm going to be showing you today. These are 4mm. The other day I used 6mm. When I do multiple rows, I usually use a smaller bead. You can do it with 6mm if you want to, but since I was going to do 3 rows, I didn't want to have that wide a bracelet, so I used the 4mm. So I'm going to use these other really psychedelic colored beads that I think you'll probably be able to see better. These are some sort of pinkish purple mix, I don't know, and these are like a watermelon green, and these are light blue. So I think if I do it and switch them up, you'll be able to see it. And I'll just do like an abbreviated, I won't do a whole entire bracelet with these. I'll just do like a little baby bracelet, and when I get ready to get to the point where I add the clasp and stuff, I'll switch over to this other bracelet that I've already got done. So I've got my beads. I've got my 8-pound fire line. I'm not going to go into all the differences in the thread and needles and seed beads and all like I did on that other video. I'll put a link to it up in the corner of this video and in the description box below if you want to go back and watch that, but I don't want to waste your time going over all that again. I've got, for tools, I've just got my scissors to cut my fire line, and I've got my chain nose pliers and bent chain nose pliers that I'm going to use to add my clasp at the end, and I use the chain nose pliers to flatten my thread so that I can get through the needle. I've got a little piece of thread here on this needle already threaded that I'm going to start with, but it won't last long, so I'll have to add thread, and I'll show you again how I do that. Like I showed you on the other video. It's a little tulip needle that I've got here, and I've got a little stop bead here. I always use a stop bead that's a different color than any other color in my project, so I don't get confused and try to sew it in my project. So I'm going to start with these beads, and I'm going to pick up my stop bead, and I'm going to go through it twice. And I always leave about a 6-inch tail so that I can sew it in at the end. Since I'm not going to be sewing this in because I'm not going to complete it, I'm not going to leave that long a tail on this. I do have that long a tail on this one over here, and I'll sew it in on it. But all I'm going to do start out with is just like I did the other day. I'm going to try to zoom in here because these beads are smaller than they were the other day. I'm going to pick up 4 of these beads. Drop them down to my stop bead. I'm going to sew through the first bead. And I've got my first little right angle weave box there. Just the top, the sides, and the bottom. Now I'm going to sew back through them again to reinforce. Now the other day, when I went back through and reinforced, I put a seed bead between each bead. I don't usually do that on the smaller beads because they're so small. I did that to hide my thread, but you really can't see the thread in these little smaller beads, so I don't usually do that. If you can if you want to. If you're going to use 4mm, I would probably use like a 15-0 in there instead of an 11-0 like I did on that the other day. So I want to be coming back out this one like I was the other day. I want to be coming back out this one opposite my stop bead, opposite the bead I started in, which is the one next to my stop bead here. So that would be this one. Okay, now I've already got one side of my little box here. So I just need to pick up 3 beads to make the next side of my box. This is just exactly like I did the other day. except with a very psychedelic colored beads. Now I'm coming out the bottom of this, well, I'm coming out the bottom of this bead. I'm going to go back in the top of this bead. And I'm going to pull my thread through. And that makes my second little right angle weave unit. Now I'm going to go back through all the beads again to reinforce. And I want to be coming back out this bead on the end here so I can make my next right angle weave unit. So I'm going to pick up 3 more beads. I'm doing this a little bit faster than I did the other day because I already did this part in that video. I'm coming up the top here. I'm going to go in the bottom. And then go back through all my beads. To reinforce. And pull tight. You're not likely to break this thread. It's very strong. Now I want to get back down here to the end again so that I can add on my next right angle weave unit. So I'm going to go through this bead and I'm going to pick up 3 more. Now I'm coming out the top of this bead. I'm going to go back in the bottom of this bead. Make my next little right angle weave unit. Go around, reinforce it. Okay, now I've got 4 little right angle weave units here now. Now I'm going to make a few more so that I have enough to work with to show you how to do the multiple rows, and then I'll be back. Okay, I ended up having to add thread even before I could get this little bit done, so I just went ahead and added it. I'll have to add thread when I finish off this other bracelet that I've already got made, and I'll show you again there. So I'm coming out I've got 7 little right angle weave boxes here. I've got 1 box, 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4 boxes, 5 boxes, 6 boxes, 7 boxes. I guess if I could keep it up here, it would help. 1 box, 2 box, 3 boxes, 4 boxes, 5 boxes, 6 boxes, 7 boxes. So now I'm coming out up here where I would be if I was going to add another right angle weave box onto this end. But I don't want to do that. I want to add one beside this one instead of at the end of this one. So to do that, I'm going to have to go through this bead. Okay, now I'm going to I've already got the side of my box, so I need to pick up 3 beads. And I'm going to use these green psychedelic colored ones. I'm coming out the bottom of this bead. I'm going to go in the top of it. And just like we've been doing, I'm going to pull it through. Now I have another little right angle weave box there right next to the first one. Now I'm going to reinforce, just like I've been doing. I'm going to go back through here. And go through all these beads again. Till I get back in the bead I started in, this purple one here. Now to make my box that I want to put next to this box, I need to be coming either out of this bead or this bead. I need to always sew in right angles. So I'm going to have to go back through this bead, because if I go through this bead, that's not a right angle, that's straight down. And that's going to show my thread through those 2 beads. So you always go in right angles, so I'm going to go and it will alternate between the next time I'll have to go through the side bead there. So I'm going to go back through this bead. Got my little thread caught in there where I added thread. Okay, I'm going to go back through that bottom green bead. Now I've got my top and I've already got my left side. So I only need 2 beads to make this box. So I'm going to pick up 2 beads. And I'm coming out this bead, this side of this green bead. I have to go in this bead to make my box this time. If you take them down here, drop them down to the bottom of your thread, and you lay it out like the box is going to have to be to make your box, there, you see that in order to do that, in order to get them in the right position, you have to go through this bead. Pull my thread through, and then I'm going to go back through all the beads and reinforce. I'm going to go back through all the beads, and sometimes I even go through all the beads twice, because when you're doing these multiple rows they can get loose. So I think I'll go back through all of them twice. This little stop bead down here is going to keep getting in my way. Okay, now I'm coming out the bottom of this bead. Now, I need to be coming through this bead in order to make my next box. It's always either this bead or this bead, but the way I was coming out of that bead, I couldn't add on 2 more beads, so I had to go back through this bead. So now I've got my side and my top, so I'm going to pick up 2 more, but just only need 2 to make my 4 sides. So now I'm coming out the bottom of this purple bead. I have to go back through this green bead in order to make my box, because if I drop my beads down and I lay them out like they would have to go to make a box, that's the bead that I have to go in to make my little box that I want to make. I have to go in this bead. It might be easier to see when I get over here and start using these blue ones, because these purple ones are awfully dark and I don't know if you can see them really well or not. Now I'm going to sew back through all the beads. I'm going to come out this bottom bead here. Now I either have to be coming out, again, I either have to be coming out this bead or the side bead. And I'm coming out this side purple bead. I can't go straight through and go through this bead, because you've got to do right angles. So I'm going to have to go through this bead. Now I'm going to pick up 2. I've already got my top and my side, so I'm going to pick up 2 more beads. I'm coming out this bead. I have to go in this bead in order to make my box. So I'm going to do that, pull it through, see that makes my little box there. And now I'm going to reinforce. I'm going to go through all the beads again. And if it's loose, I go through them twice. And it's pretty loose, so I'm going to go through them twice. Now I've got to either be coming out this bottom bead or this side bead. So obviously I'm coming out right here, so I'm going to go through this green bead. And then I can't pick up my two and go put them on here now, so I'm going to have to go back through this purple bead. Pick up two green beads. I'm coming out the bottom of this purple bead. I have to go through in this side of this green bead to get my box, to get these two little beads in the right position to make my box. I'm going to do that. There's my little box. Now I'm going to reinforce. Got a little bit of a knot in my thread, but it's not much of one. It's a piece of plastic that come off one of the strands of my beads. Okay. Now I'm coming out this bead, the bottom green bead. So I've got to pick up, already got my top and my side. I've got to pick up two beads to make my box. And in order to make my box, I've got to go through this bead to position my beads to form my box. Like that. Now I'm going to reinforce. Now I'm coming out this bottom bead, but I can't pick up my two beads here. So I've got to go through this bead. So I'm in a position to pick up my other two beads. Now I'm going to pick up two more beads. Now in order to make my box, I'm going to have to go in this side of this bead so that my beads will fall in the right place to form a box. Now I'm going to go back through all the beads again. I'm trying not to get tangled, but I did, because this is such a little bitty piece of beading here. It's getting tangled. Okay, I'm going to go back through this bead, back through this bead. Okay, now I could have, see, if I had been like I'm at this bottom green bead, but I want to make a box beside this one, not down. So I have to go back up through this bead. And I hope you can see this part better, because I'm going to use these blue beads, and I think those purple beads were too dark. I don't know if you could see what I was doing or not. So I'm going to use some of these blue beads here. So I'm coming out this bead. I've only got one. Oh, I need to get down here. I'm coming out this green bead. I've only got one bead, one side of my box. So I need to pick up 3 beads to make the rest of my box. So I'm going to pick up 3 of the blue beads. And I'm going to go back in that same bead on the other side. Pull my thread through, and that makes another little right angle weave box sitting there. It's got one green, the left side is green, and the top and bottom is blue, and the right side is blue. So I'm going to flip my work over, and I'm going to sew back through all these beads again to reinforce. Until I come back through the bead I started in, which was this green bead. Okay, now I have to either be coming out this bottom bead or this side bead. I'm coming out this side green bead right now. I can't go straight down because that's not a right angle. So I have to go this way to make a right angle. Now I've got my top and my side, so I only need 2 beads to make the rest of my box. So I'm going to pick up 2 more blue beads. And in order for my beads to make my box, I'm going to have to go back in this bead so that my beads will fall where they need to fall to make the box. I'm going to do that, and there's my next box. So now I'm going to go back through and reinforce it all. And if it's loose, reinforce it again, and it appears to be loose, so I'm just going to go back through them again. Okay, now I'm coming out this bottom blue bead, but I can't pick up my 2 beads and make my next box from here, so I have to go down through this green bead on the side. So I've got my side and my top. I just need 2 beads, so I'm going to pick up 2 blue beads. And in order for my beads to fall where they need to fall to make my box, I've got to go through this blue bead on this side. And then I'm going to go through all my beads again and reinforce. Now right now I'm coming out of this side green bead on the side right here. I need to either be in this bead or this bead to make my next box. But I'm coming out that green bead. I can't go down because that's not a right angle. So I have to go through the blue bead. Always sew at right angles. Now I've got my top and my side. I need 2 beads to make my box. Now, in order for my beads to fall where they need to make my box, I have to go in this green bead at this side. Pull through, and there's my next little box. Go back through and reinforce all of it. Now, normally, I mean, this is not going to be a real bracelet, so I'm not going to go back again, but I probably would go back again because it's kind of loose. But I'm coming out this bottom blue bead, but I can't pick up my 2 beads to make my box from here. So I have to go back down this green bead. And I've got my top and my side, so I'm going to pick up 2 more beads to make my box. My little 4-sided box. Now, in order for my beads to fall where I need them to, I've got to go in this bead this way. Pull through, and that makes my next little box there. So I'm going to go through all the beads again. Always sewing at right angles. Now I'm coming out this green bead on the side here. I can't go straight down into this bead because that's not a right angle. So I have to go through this blue bead. Now I've got my top bead and my side bead. I just need 2 more beads to make my little 4-sided box. So in order for them to lay where I need them to, I have to go through this bead. And then I'm going to reinforce. Now I'm going to have to reinforce, even though this is not a real bracelet. That's just way too loose. So I'm going to go back through them again. Okay, now I'm coming out this side of this bottom blue bead, but I can't pick up my 2 beads and make it work here. So I got to go down through this green bead. Now, in order to make my last little right angle weave box here, I need to pick up 2 more blue beads, because I've already got my top and my side. And in order for them to fall where I need them to, I've got to go in this blue bead on this side. And then go through and reinforce. And now I've got 3 rows of right angle weave boxes. I've got this row, and this row. So now I'm going to get my real bracelet out here and show you how I'm going to put the clasp on and put a little bit of an embellishment on. Okay, now I've got my real bracelet here. Now this is, I'm coming out right here where I made my last little box. Coming out of this bead, this top bead right here. In order to make my clasp, I need to be coming either out of this side of this bead or this side of this bead, doesn't matter which. But I'm going to have to sew around to get there, and I have to sew in right angles. So I'm going to sew down this bead. I'm going to go sew across this bead, because that's a right angle. If I don't do right angles, I'm going to cross some beads and my thread is going to show. I'm going to sew up this bead. I'm going to sew across this bead. So I can't do it from here. I need to either be coming out this side of this bead or this side of this bead to start my little thing that I'm going to attach my clasp with. So I've got to go through this bead. Go down through this bead, just always staying with right angles. Go through this bead. Go up through this bead. I'm going to flip my work around. And then I'm going to come out this bead, which is where I need to be. Now, I forgot to get me some 11-O's out. Hold on, I got some more. I'm going to be using these little 3mm blue bicones to embellish with. And I've got me some 11-O's here. And I've got my wire guardian. I'm going to do like I did on that bracelet the other day. I'm going to pick up 4 11-O's. One of my little 3mm bicones. And one more 11-O. I'm going to drop them down to my bottom of my thread. Now I'm going to take my wire guardian and I'm going to go up the one side of the wire guardian. I just realized I don't have all my lights on. I would probably see a whole lot better if I had all my lights on. Okay, now I'm going to go back down through this side of the wire guardian, back through just back through this side of the wire guardian for now. And I'm going to hold on and pinch it so that my thread will land in that little channel there. You want to make sure your thread lands in that little channel there. I'm going to pinch my wire guardian shut just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go through the seed bead above the bicone, and the seed bead below the bicone. And I'm going to pull my thread through. Okay, now, in order to match this other side, I'm gonna pick up 3 more seed beads. I'm gonna pick up 3 seed beads, and I'm gonna go in this bead over here. So I was coming out. I started coming out of this seed bead or this 4mm bead, and then I went up and did my 4 seed beads, my bicone and my seed bead, back through my wire guardian, back through the seed bead, bicone, seed bead, and then I added 3 more, and I went through this one. Now I'm going to have to sew around to get in position to reinforce that, because I'm going to reinforce it 2 more times. So I'm just going to sew at right angles. I'm just going to keep sewing at right angles until I get over here. I hit the camera, sorry. Until I get over here and I'm coming back out this bead again. Just gonna come just through that bead for now. Now I'm gonna go back up all 3 of these seed beads. Then I'm gonna go up the seed bead, bicone, and seed bead. Then I'm going to go back through my channel of my wire guardian. I'm going to go back down the other channel of my wire guardian. And hold it so that the thread will come down in the channel. Then I'm going to go back through the seed bead, the bicone, and the seed bead. Then I'm going to go back down these other 3 on this other side. Now I'm going to have to sew all the way back around here to come out here to do it again. I'll do that off camera and I'll be back. I've got this end of my clasp here, this end of my clasp with my wire guardian all done. And I don't have enough thread to do this embellishment that I'm going to do. So I'm going to end this thread off and add in a new thread so that I can show you again how I do that. So I'm just going to sew through a few beads. Till I'm coming out one of these outer beads here. And I'm going to take my thread and go into the thread bridge. And then I'm going to come through the loop, pull it down slow, make me a knot between those beads. Now I'm going to sew through a few more beads till I'm coming out an outside bead. And I'm going to grab another thread bridge, go through the knot of the loop, pull it through slowly, make my knot. Now I'm going to go through a few more beads, always sewing at right angles, until I'm coming out another outside bead. And then I'm going to catch this thread bridge, go up, go through my loop, which is getting awfully little because my thread's getting short. Pull it down slow. Okay, that was 3. I always do it 3 times. So now I'm just going to go through a few more beads. And I'm going to cut off. I have, in the moving into this room, apparently I have misplaced my thread burner. I suspect my husband might have stolen it and hidden it because he's scared to death I'm going to burn the house down with it. Okay, so I've got another piece of thread here already cut. And I'm going to, I couldn't remember if I threaded that last one on camera or not, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to squeeze, I'm going to flatten my end of my thread and take my, just thread my needle here. Now I got me another little stop bead here, a little red stop bead, a little 8/0. I'm going to do the same like I did before. I'm going to go through it twice. And I'm going to leave about a 6-inch tail that I can sew in later. Now I'm going to pick my project up here and I'm going to go back. I want to be coming out this middle, well, you can't see me. I want to be coming out this bead right here. Either side doesn't matter because I'm just going to put a little embellishment down the center. I'm not going to do all of them. So I'm just going to start back in here somewhere and I'm just going to go, doesn't matter, through any bead. And that little stop bead's going to stop my thread. And then I'm just going to keep sewing at right angles until I get up there. No, I don't want to come through that one because that's going to be in the way when I do my embellishments. I'm going to pull that through and do that over. I have to put my stop bead back on. Okay, start this over. I'm going to come through one of the outer beads. And my little stop bead's going to stop my thread from going anywhere there. And now I'm just going to sew through all these beads at right angles until I get up to the bead that I want to be in, that I want to be coming out of. As long as I continue to sew at right angles, it doesn't matter what beads I go through. I just need to always do right angles. Okay, this middle one at the top is where I want to be coming out of, so I'm going to go through it. Now I've got my little blue bicones here, and I've got some 15/0 dark bronze seed beads, just like the ones I used to do the clasp with, only they were 11/0s and these are 15/0s. See, I told y'all I could handle 15/0s. So I'm going to turn my work this way, try to get my little stop bead thread out of the way and everything. So I'm going to try not to blur. I'm going to pick up a 15/0, a little bicone, and a 15/0. Of course, you can put anything as an embellishment if you want to. I'm just going to go down the center. You can fill in all these with bicones if you want to, whatever you want to do. I'm coming out the right side of this bead. I'm going to go diagonally. I'm going to go in the opposite side of the opposite bead and go through. And pull through slowly. And that places my little bicone over that center bead there. Now all I have to do, I'm coming up the right side of this bead, just like I was down here. I'm just going to pick up a 15/0, a bicone, and a 15-0. And I'm coming out the right side. I'm going to go on the opposite side of the opposite bead. And I'm going to put my thread through and pull it through. Just pull it through slow. Position your little bead there where you want it. There, see it falls right over that little center piece. Now I'm going to pick up another, I'm picking up another 15-0, another bicone, another 15-0. I'm coming out the right side of that bead. I'm going to go in the opposite side of the opposite bead so that it'll place that bicone diagonally across there. Like that. I have 3. And I'm going to do one more, and then I'll leave you alone. I'll do the rest of them off camera. Pick up a 15-0, a bicone, and a 15-0. Coming out the right side of this bead, I'm going to go on the opposite side of the opposite bead. And that places that little embellishment on there. Now I'm going to do the rest of them off camera. I only have 2 little embellishments left to go, and I decided to do them with you all because I'm not confident I was in frame for any of the other ones I did. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a bicone, and a 15-0. I'm coming out the right side of this bead. I'm going to go in the opposite side of the opposite bead. Pull my thread through. I'm going to pick up another 15-0 bicone, 15-0. I'm coming out the right side of this bead. I'm going to go on the opposite side of the opposite bead. So that gets all my little embellishments on there down the center. So now I'm going to put my clasp on just like I did on the other side. I'm going to sew around until I'm coming out probably this bead. This bead looks like it would be the shortest path. Always sewing at right angles. Okay, now I'm coming out that bead. I'm going to do just like I did on the other side. I'm going to pick up 4 11-0s, a bicone, and 11-0, my wire guard, go through the wire guard, come back down through the bicone, the wire guard, the seed bead, the bicone, the seed bead, put 3 other seed beads on the other side, and go back through it all and do it 3 times. And then I'm going to take this little stop bead here off and sew this thread back in just like I did the other thread that I ended off a while ago. And then when I come back, we'll put the clasp. Okay, I got both sides of my other side of my clasping done, and my embellishments all done. I got all my threads sewed in. So now I'm gonna just put on my toggle clasp here. So I'm gonna just take my chain nose pliers and my bent chain nose pliers and open that up and thread on my bracelet, thread on my toggle ring. And take another 6mm jump ring and open it up. Thread on my other side. Thread on my toggle bar. Close that up. I always put it together to make sure it'll clasp. Make sure I left enough room for the toggle bar to go through, and it's fine. So there's my little multiple row right angle weave bracelet with a little embellishment down the center. It's really not a hard stitch. Like I said, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So there it is laid out. So, as usual, thank you all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked my videos and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope you all have a great day. Take care.